morning. Welcome to the Charleswood Town Hall meeting. Thank you for coming. My name is Kevin Nichols. I'm with the Green Party of Manitoba, the Charleswood candidate here. What we're going to do is we're going to go through a little bit of intro on myself, and we're going to explain what the Green Party of Manitoba is going to do for you. As a resident and a volunteer in the community, I've volunteered for many different organizations, but I am passionate about the area. I do love this area. I do volunteer for many groups, and it's mainly just to help out, and I want to help out at a bigger level. I want to help out at a higher level. I want to really participate in the community that I love. I am passionate about the area. I do get involved in also the area concerns. The dog park, the parkway that's being built, that's a major concern for everybody because it will be very disruptive to quite a few residents. And not only that, but the increased traffic flow will cause a safety issue. And then I get asked a little bit about the deer. What am I going to do about the deer? Well, I'm going to love them. But it is a love-hate relationship. I do have to put up fences around my vegetation so that I end up with vegetation. It's a lovely dinner for them, but I do try to protect it and do enjoy the deer and watch out for them when I'm driving on the road. Also check out a lot of the construction sites in the area. I am concerned with how the construction is being put together. I've had discussions with developers in the past. As part of Citizens for Charleswood Habitat Preservation, we did have talks with Qualico, and there was a lot of agreements in place. We've seen now that Ridgewood South is being built in our area and is coming to fruition whether we like it or not. We're hoping to save as much green space as we can and preserve some of the natural habitat that's around there. Again, with the volunteering, I get a little bit more volunteering that I do. I love football. So as a result, I have coached a lot of football. Now I ran out of boys, had a girl, and put her in football as well. I'm part of the original group that started the All-Girls Football League, the Manitoba Girls Football Association. Proud to say that it's an organization, one of a kind in Canada, and I am part of that. As far as volunteering for other things, I've been on the executive for the Charleswood, or the École Dieppe. I was a safety coordinator there, started out as the safety coordinator, and then assumed the position as the chair or the president. Right now I'm on the board member for the Charleswood Broncos, and I was a scout leader for the 53rd Winnipeg Scout Group. That's now defunct, unfortunately, but there was a lot of great kids that went through that program, and I was proud to be a leader there. I do speak at the various schools for Safe Workers of Tomorrow, making sure that our youth is safe and knowledgeable when they're out working in the workforce. And the Charleswood, or the Oak Park School, I've also volunteered there as a safe grad security guy there. Making sure that nobody goes home drunk and nobody's drinking that shouldn't be drinking, and making sure the kids just have a great time and enjoy their grad and have a safe grad. As a Green Party member, we want to make sure that all voices are heard, including the disabled. We want to make sure there's access to all factions of life, and we want to make sure that everybody's included. So I have been visited or have visited the Abilities Manitoba people with James Benham, the Green Party leader, and it was a very interesting talk. There was a lot of different things that came out with that, but it's just amazing how we take for granted a lot of things that the people with less than favorable abilities, I would guess you would say, are accommodated, and we need to accommodate that more. They're not challenged, they just need a little help, and we really need to help everybody in society. Investing in our youth. As I said, I do a lot of volunteering with the schools, and want to make sure that our youth have a good start in life, and keeping that going, we want to make sure that we get some green youth in. Part of the Green Party is we have a youth, the Green Youth, and we'd love to get some more green people in, but we do want to make sure that the youth have proper education, and we got to invest in the youth. Again, nature. I also volunteered at a camp with Ecole and making sure the kids understand nature. They unfortunately stuck me with a cabin that had a bunch of rowdy boys, but by the end of the camp, these guys were tired and they knew all about nature, and they had a great time. But it's just another part of my volunteering with the areas. Again, through the schools, Ecole Dieppe, I did volunteer at their barbecue, had a great time with it, met a couple of really good friends, and it's a lot of hard work, but it was well worth it. The kids had a blast, and the whole community itself was really come together. I think there was over 600 people at one of these barbecues, and we did have a great time. It was a lot of hard work, but it is part of my volunteering. Respect. The Green Party has great respect for a lot of the work that the veterans have done and a lot of the work that they do. People in service and serving need our respect. They keep our country safe. They keep our country and our laws, and just basically everybody we respect our veterans because they give up a lot. I'm a little choked up because I had an uncle that did serve overseas, and he's since passed, but it's just amazing the stuff that they give up. So we really have to respect our veterans and take care of them when they're no longer serving. As a proud Canadian, I make sure that my flag is changed every year, July 1st. Usually they take a beating because of the sun and the wind, but every July 1st they change my flag. Just a show of respect for the Canadian flag, for the country, and for the veterans that help keep this country safe. Green Party, we want to make sure that there's a sustainable economy. And sustainable, we mean we're preserving our economy. We make sure that it functions. We want to make sure that there's a lot less materials wasted. We want to make sure that there's just a lot less waste in general, as far as that goes. And we want to make sure that there's not only a minimum wage, but a living wage. We want to make sure that people can actually afford good food, clean water, pay their bills, have a nice place to live. We want to make sure that that's how the economy keeps rolling. Again, I love nature. So my backyard is just kind of a flash shot. We really love, I mean, people will say, well, the Green Party's all for environment. The environment is important because it does give you a lot of sense of well-being. You can't go out and build a tree. You can't go out and build grasses. You can't go out and build a wild prairie. You need to preserve it. And that's what a lot of the Green Party is all about as well. Green government, we want to help fight climate change. Get off of fossil fuels. Stop the emissions. Now, I know a lot of people have said that, well, it's impossible. It's not impossible. It's being done right now. We as Manitobans, as Canadians, we need to do that right now. We need to just step back and think, do we really need all the things we're using? Do we really need the oil that we're burning? We got to get off of that and get on to renewable energy. Years ago, the government said, we're going to build Waverly West and we're going to make it energy efficient. We're going to put geothermal, and then they couldn't do it. They found out they couldn't do it. And then they just dropped it. They didn't replace it with any other renewable energy. So that whole area is no different than anything else. What we need to push for is we need to push like France. Get a green roofing, get green solar panels, get alternative energies, find different ways to do things. We got to get off the oil. Now, I don't just preach, I also do. At my house, I do have a micro solar generating station. I run my garage off of that. I have a little shop in the back. I do run my garage off of that. It's not that hard, and the prices have come down a lot. So it's not, people keep saying, oh, it's expensive, it's expensive. It's not. It can be done. There's no reason why we can't. Wind generators too, there's lots of for and lots of against. Recently somebody had said that, well, they kill a lot of birds. I'm not going to lie, they do kill birds. However, windows kill a lot more birds than anything else, and we're not going to get rid of windows. So why not put these in a responsible area, away from migratory bird paths, away from where it's going to bother anybody. We're putting them up, and it makes sense because it is renewable. The wind is always blowing. Democracy. We, as Greens, want to see proportional representation. Proportional representation means you all have a voice. You will all be represented no matter who you vote for. Your vote will count. So if you want to vote Green, by all means, absolutely vote Green. That's why we're all here. We want to make sure that every voice is heard, all your concerns, all of your voices and your votes count. The economy. Local economy, the Greens like local economy because it does cut down on a lot of things. Transportation costs, for one, which means your fruits and vegetables and whatnot should be a lot cheaper. But not only that, it cuts down on the greenhouse gases produced through transportation. With the Canadian dollar being so low against the American dollar, now is a great time to start that, to take that up. Grow local, have local greenhouses, have warehouses where we can set up greenhouses and indoor farms. Have your local farmers markets more available. All these help with your local people, your farmers, your local farmers, all benefit. Your friends, your neighbors, and you get healthy food. You know where it's coming from, and you know what's been sprayed on it or not sprayed on it. The Green Party of Manitoba, pipelines. And we want to put an end to them. Now there's also the big debate, should we have pipelines or is pipelines more safe than rail? The problem is with pipelines, they want to run pipelines for bitumen and rail for the same thing. It's not an and or, they want to run both. What we want to do is just put an end to the pipelines, especially Energy East. They want to change their pipelines from a natural gas to running bitumen. They're not designed for that. You can't, it's like saying, I had a truck, I want to buy a Matrix, but I want to still pull the same trailer. They're not designed for that. So with the pipelines, we want to make sure that we put an end to them. Not only that, but the pipelines for Energy East run right under the aqueduct for Winnipeg's water supply. Now I know some of you, including myself, have experienced brown water. That's nothing compared to if the pipeline goes and feeds oil into our water. Brown water will be more than welcome as compared to the oil that might be in it. Small businesses are the backbone to any community. Those are your friends, your neighbors that are running the show. They run small businesses and they thrive. It's always great to have big business in, stuff like let's say investors where they might have 1,500 or people or so. The problem with that is when they do move, we lose 1,500 jobs all at once. With small businesses, yes, they may come and go. Hopefully they all thrive. But if one business goes, we only lose 2 or 3 or 5 or 10. We don't lose 1,500 jobs. We want to keep those small jobs, small businesses going and develop them. We want to help those businesses. So that's why Greens love small, because they're close, they're nearby, they're your neighbors, they're your friends. The Green Party is also working towards fare-free transit. We would love to see everybody be able to ride the bus for free. Transit collects a very small amount of their budget is paid for through fares. So by eliminating that, they don't really give up a whole lot. What we'd like to do too is make sure that we encourage the electric buses. When they go to replace their fleet, replace them with electric buses. Zero emissions, no noise. We can have a lot of people riding the bus. We take a lot of cars off. One bus will hold about 70 people. If you look at an average of, let's say, 1 or 2 people per vehicle, that's 35 to 70 cars off the road every morning and every night going home and going to work. So it does take a lot of vehicles off the road and reduces a lot of emissions, especially when you're running electric buses. Some people will say, well, we don't want to stand out in the cold and wait for a bus. We can heat the bus shelters. There's where you put the solar on the bus shelters and start heating them with solar. There's a lot of different solutions to a lot of different problems, but nobody's willing to think about these things. Nobody's willing to take action. The Green Party is willing to take action on these. Guaranteed annual income. We want to make sure that everybody has the basic necessities of life. By doing that, we have implemented a policy for a guaranteed annual income, and this will apply to an awful lot of people. We've got a lot of policymakers that are crunching the numbers, and we've come up with a pretty good policy on a guaranteed annual income where nobody will be worse off than what they are now, and a lot of people will be better off. So we do have the policy. It has worked in the past. I know a lot of the other parties have said, well, let's study it, let's do test sites. The test sites were done in 1974, and one of the gentlemen that's actually on our policy committee that has done the numbers on the guaranteed annual income was part of that program back in the 70s. So it's not like we don't know what we're talking about. It's there. It's already been done, and the study's complete, and we just had to rework the numbers. And with those, the numbers are done. The Green Party is committed to working with all government parties. So no matter who's in power, so long as we're in the seat, we will work with them to better all of Manitoba. We also want to work with all the Indigenous communities. We don't want to leave anybody out. We want to make sure that everybody is included in all the decisions, because in the past some people have been left out, and I'm ashamed to say that I can't believe, and I just learned this not too long ago because I didn't know and it wasn't publicized, that we're drinking some fresh water, and yet the people who live on the lake don't have fresh water. And that's embarrassing. As a Canadian, I'm embarrassed. That really is embarrassing. So we want to get that fixed up. We do want to work with any and all interested parties. Again, the Abilities Manitoba, like Winnipeg Harvest. We want to make sure people have food, clean water, and thrive, because we need to thrive. So who makes up the Green Party? Well, we got all kinds of people: geophysicists, farmers, agriculturalists, accountants, lawyers, mechanics, all kinds of people. We're anywhere from the average Joe on up, and we all care about the same thing. We all care about our community. We all care about helping people. We all care about making sure that nobody goes without. So the Green Party, what we want to do, we're going to reduce poverty. We want to make sure that we have a guaranteed annual income for people. We want to make sure that nobody goes hungry. We want clean air, clean water. We want to make sure that we protect the environment. That's a huge one, because I remember in the 80s, and some of you might remember, we had one of the top 5 beaches in the world. Not just Manitoba, not just Canada, top 5 beaches in the world. And the last time I went to Grand Beach, it was kind of disgusting, and I'm ashamed to say. We need to take better care of that. We need to take better care of our environment. We go from the top 5 beach in the world to a beach that barely you can swim in. So we need to take care of a lot of that. We need to buy local. We need to help our farmers. We need to do a lot of things to help people in general. It is time for a new way of thinking. It's time to think outside the box. It's time to change the way we do business. As the Green Party, we care about people. We want to make sure that people thrive and people are doing well. We can reduce poverty. There's no doubt about it. The guaranteed annual income will reduce poverty. By doing that, we're going to reduce health costs. People can afford better food. They reduce their health costs. They reduce their illnesses. People can afford transportation. People can afford to reduce their emissions through buying different vehicles. So we really have thought a lot about this. Now, what can you do? Well, sign up for the Green Party of Manitoba. Become a member. Get involved. Volunteer. And by all means, on April 19th, make sure you vote for your Green MLA, no matter what part of town you're in. Vote for me. Come on out and volunteer. I would encourage it. I would love it. And if you have any questions, by all means, get in contact with me. Ask me. I do answer my own phones. I don't have a secretary. I answer my own emails. So it is a personal touch. I really care about the area, and I consider you all my friends. Thank you very much, one and all, and if you have any questions, by all means, ask. Thank you for all coming out.